Welcome to Aspen Leading Edge. I'm Patty Roberts from St. Mary's University School of Law, and today I am joined by a fellow law dean, Leah Chan Grinvald. She is the Dean of William S. Boyd School of Law at the University of Las Vegas, a position that she is starting her third year in. And welcome, Dean Grinvald.
Thanks so much, Dean Roberts.
It's exciting to have you here, and I can't believe you have 2 years behind you already. It goes fast, doesn't it?
Oh my goodness, it does. It really flies by.
So let's start with, before those 2 years, you were in Boston at Suffolk University Law School, and you were Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and a professor of law. What on earth made you decide, hey, maybe I should try to be a dean, and maybe I should do it in one of the hottest places in America?
I know. I think I have some friends who definitely have given me a side look of what were you thinking? Yeah. Well, so yes, I had a great career and wonderful time at Suffolk Law. Prior to Suffolk Law, I started my career out at St. Louis University, but at Suffolk, really wonderful colleagues. I actually really do miss them quite a bit. And I spent 6 years as one of the associate deans for academic affairs. Suffolk is so big, it needs 2 associate deans for academic affairs. And Andy Perlman, who was the dean that asked me to be his associate dean, still there, wonderful dean, wonderful mentor and leader. But I would say I didn't take the associate dean role to become a dean. When Andy asked me, I really considered it for quite a long time because, as we all know, right, those of us in administration, it really takes a toll on your scholarship and teaching, right? You can't teach as much as you have been. You can't write as much. I considered it for a very long time before saying yes. And the reason I said yes at the time was really to give back to the school. I had no intention of taking on the dean role. But I found, I would say about year 3 or 4, considering perhaps maybe that would be something for me. And I will say the turning point was really attending a workshop that Villanova and Seattle Law puts on every year on promoting diversity in the deans, for females and people of color. And I met Mark Alexander. He became my dean mentor. That's really, I think, the turning point where I thought, well, maybe this is something interesting and something that I can do. And I got really excited by the first position I applied for. And that's when I knew that I could do it, that I could get excited. And it was just about a fit. It's the same thing when you're on the market, right? Looking for a teaching job. It's all about fit, where you get excited by the institution and where you feel the institution needs your skills. That's when you can sort of, coming from the associate dean role too, feel like you can take that jump and that next step to become dean. And it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful ever since.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, we share the inspiration of the Villanova conference. That was what made me believe that I too could be a dean. And with Mark Alexander's encouragement and Kelly Testie's and many others, for those of you thinking maybe I would like to be a dean, I strongly encourage you to look at the conference, which is in Villanova 1 year, and then the alternate year is at Seattle. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Seattle.
Yes, and this year it's in mid-September at Villanova. So.
Yeah, it's usually the same time of year, and it has, I think, as many aspiring deans as it does sitting deans, which is a really incredible way to learn what the experience is really like and to make some friends, some
Absolutely.
mentors, and have some champions as you're on the dean market. Well, I'm glad you went to that conference, and I'm glad you were excited about it, and so you were introduced to William S. Boyd School of Law in Las Vegas, the only law school in Nevada, which seems to be amazing because Nevada's a pretty good-sized state. And UNLV has just celebrated its 25th year. So tell us a little bit about why UNLV William S. Boyd School of Law was started and what your vision is as its dean.
Great. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty incredible to think the law school is celebrating its 25th year. UNLV as an institution is celebrating, I think we're in the 66th year, still a fairly young institution, particularly for an R1 university. The law school was started, and the idea for the law school was, since the 1970s. Our founding namesake, William S. Boyd, still living, which is amazing. He's in his 90s and still very supportive of the law school, and as is his children. But he grew up in Nevada, grew up in Las Vegas, and wanted to become a lawyer and had to move out of state to do so. because there was no law school in Nevada. And one of the few that actually came back to Nevada, because most folks, but there was really a brain drain for folks, both in terms of the legal profession and the medical profession too. But that's obviously another podcast for the medical profession. And so he came back, he worked as a lawyer, and he made his money, honestly, in gaming. He founded and still is the chairman of Boyd Gaming. And that was in the 80s and 90s when there was this conversation that he was really pushing and part of to start a law school in Nevada. And there was at least 3 or 4 commissions looking at the feasibility of the law school. And each time they came back and said, yes, you can go. There's enough people, there's enough need. And for whatever reason, each time it never came to fruition. And then finally, in 1997, that state legislature session provided the authorization to establish a state law school. Mr. Boyd came in with the first round of funding to really get it off the ground. And it was this, I'd say a combination too of UNLV and the president at the time, Carol Herter, who unfortunately just passed recently in October, really seeing the vision that university, particularly one that aspired at the time to be an R1, needed to have a law school. And so that's how we came about. We opened our doors in August 1998, graduated our first class in 2001, and everybody has to have their origin myth and stories. And ours is that we opened our doors at an elementary school on campus. And it had just been vacated by the K to 5-year and 5th graders. And there had not been any time to really retrofit it, nor was really that the idea that it was really just a temporary building, while our current building, where we still sit at the heart of campus, used to be the library. And that was then retrofitted to be the law school. But at the time, for the first 3 years, even with the first graduating class, they went to school at an elementary school with a jungle gym outside. And there's lots of good stories about, the study breaks. Exactly, the study breaks, right? The small toilets, because they had the school-sized toilets and the like. So that's ours, and that graduate the charter classes really have wonderful stories about all those days.
That's terrific. How amazing that Mr. Boyd is still alive. Yes. I mean, really incredible.
It is incredible.
What a legacy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So once the law school was established, did you find that and still today, do you find that the majority of your students are from Nevada, or do you pull from other places as well? What's your student body like?
Yeah, our student body is about the first year, 75-25. So 75% Nevada, 25% out of state. And then by the time graduation rolls around, it's more like 95%, 5%, that Nevada is truly a place of opportunity and potential. We are a purple state. I think we've been called one of the 7 swing states for the upcoming election. Good or bad, right? Good or bad.
Bad for your advertisements.
That's right. Exactly.
The social media that will be targeted on you. But
That's right. All the visits I'm sure that we'll be having, and the traffic that creates for all of us who live here. But there really is so much need and potential at the same time in Nevada for legal services. And actually, so that sort of dovetails to, I didn't answer the second part of your prior question, which is my vision for the law school. We were founded because there was this need for homegrown lawyers to become a brain magnet as opposed to a brain drain, and having really protectionist policies, I'd say, in Nevada. And really, there's been this evolution to more openness, but also because we have now had 25 years of creating the bar in Nevada, it's really been making a difference. And we have graduates at all levels of government, all levels of the judiciary, except for the Supreme Court, but we'll probably get there soon, the legislature and the like. It's really incredible. And so stepping into the role 2 years ago and now going into my 3rd year, obviously wanting to keep growing on top of our successes, right? We've been, so successful in such a short amount of time, but also really dig into our mission, right? Our mission is to educate high quality attorneys that are going to serve Nevada and beyond, right? And there are a number of neighboring states with legal deserts because they are just in the middle of really between cities. And so we do actually get, our out-of-state students come from those areas where Las Vegas or Nevada is just easier to get to than their main city where their law schools might be located. And so one of my visions is to really be able to be Nevada's law school and serve all of Nevada through a hybrid JD program. And so last year I had a task force looking at the issue, and they have provided a proposal for the faculty, the law faculty, to review and think about. And that's what we're going to be doing this year. The proposal is to have limited residency in person, but with an online component so that we can really reach into the places where our future lawyers will be, those rural areas, the tribal reservations, and the north. We've got lots of places with 0 to 1 attorneys, service quite a large area. A number of our rural areas have severe need in public defense attorneys, even prosecutors. And so trying to figure out where our future lawyers will be, and then bringing law school to them, I think will be key to really addressing that access to justice and our legal deserts.
Well, that's very exciting. As you know, there are 19 of us now offering some kind of hybrid or entirely online JD program, either part-time or full-time. And it's incredible, the number of applicants, the students who end up enrolling are so grateful and excited because they didn't think that this stream was ever going to be available to them. So it's really making a difference in providing a legal education to a much more diverse, in every sense of the word, population. So I applaud you, and that's especially exciting with your tribal reservations. Good luck with that.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
And as far as UNLV goes, you are a young law school, but you already have really established yourself as a place very attractive to students for a number of reasons. And why don't you share with us some of those points of pride?
Yeah, thanks for letting me brag a little bit. And I'm sure you say the same, or you can't be a dean without bragging a little bit about your own institution. And so we're very proud that we have the number 2 legal writing program in the country, and we've been in the top 3 for quite some time now. And I think that's because we were a unitary track institution for quite some time. Everybody is a professor of law, and that means that our faculty can teach legal writing, can teach other subjects if they want as well. They are scholars in their own right. Everybody has the same sort of scholarly requirement and interest, and in the intellectual life of the institution, as well as in the community, right? That we have, they're now, unfortunately for us, but fortunate for them, they're retired. But some of the leaders that created and crafted the legal writing community as its own discipline were some of the founding faculty at UNLV. And so I think we've really carried that tradition forward in terms of our faculty being active, but also in the curriculum, right? That we really do provide this rigorous curriculum to our students that they know that they will come here and graduate as good legal writers. And I think our employers all around the state recognize that and appreciate that, because, legal writing, and I'll touch upon this later when you ask me that question about the future of law schools, but I think legal writing at its core is going to remain extremely important, in maybe even more so in light of generative AI. So that's one program, but we've got a number of others that I am so proud of, including our part-time program where we're ranked number 13 in the country, our dispute resolution program where we have a named center, the Saltman Center for Conflict Resolution, where we're really focusing on alternative dispute resolution, how to train both in terms of practical training, but also in pedagogy, but also theoretical understanding of the discipline and doctrine. So we have an annual named speaker series each year where we bring in somebody well-known in the field. Last year, we had Maureen Westbrook from Pepperdine, who works in the area of arbitration and sports, and very prescient, was talking about the Olympics and how dispute resolution works in that area, which is fascinating since we have the Paris Olympics. And so and then of course, like other law schools, we have our areas of strength that I'm very proud of, including workplace law, health law, intellectual property law. Of course, I am myself an intellectual property law scholar, so that was exciting to me to join the 2 colleagues that I have here. And we also have a number of different programs that really think deeply about their areas. So we have a criminal law related policing, race gender policing program. We have a grant-funded Indian Nation gaming and governance program, which is the only one of its kind in the country, funded by the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, who have just been, I think, the leaders in philanthropy in higher education. We're among a handful of other law schools that have received grants from the tribe because they really believe strongly in education, legal education, and trying to train sort of that next generation, hopefully, of Native American leaders in both their tribes, regardless of which tribe they're from, but also in tribal gaming, which is really one of the fastest growing industries in the country.
As a follow-up to that, do you enroll a significant number of Native Americans at your law school?
We have been enrolling a higher number of Native Americans because of this program and because of the efforts of our faculty and our faculty director of the program, Danielle Finn. We have definitely seen a higher enrollment number. It's an ongoing work in progress. We have Nevada as a state has adopted a tuition waiver for all Native students who are enrolled in a federally recognized tribe. And so hopefully that will see our numbers increase. It has already, but the hope is more just because we have, I want to say 27 to 29 federally recognized tribes in Nevada.
Wow.
And it's a lot. And so and that's why I think the hybrid program is really going to be key to kind of reaching into those areas. And our state bar, through the good work of Professor Finn and others and other graduates of Boyd, just recently restarted the tribal law section of the state bar. And so I think that it is really all that to show it is gaining momentum, and there is power in numbers and graduating numbers of Native American students.
Well, what a phenomenal opportunity your state legislature is giving if the tuition would be free to Native students. And let's talk about tuition for a minute, because I think there are some bragging rights you have as far as tuition goes.
Yes. So how could I forget? Thank you. That's definitely something that we brag a lot about, particularly my admissions folks, to folks that are thinking about law school, particularly in the Rocky Mountain West area. And you've got lots of different choices. I think one of the unique things about Boyd Law is that we are a best value in terms of tuition, as well as just recently rated sort of one of the best returns on investment. So that the money that you're putting in, and it's funny because I always thought of the same thing, right? I paid, as many of all of us did, a lot for law school, took out loans for that, had to repay it. And I always said, well, I'm investing in myself. It's sort of like I have a mortgage on me. And the trick is, right, to keep that mortgage to a reasonable amount so that you can eventually have a real mortgage and have kids, right? But it really is the case that we do provide that best value in a very small setting. So I think some schools, in order to make ends meet, need to increase their class sizes, and there's nothing wrong with that. It provides a different experience. We provide a smaller, more personalized experience for that value. And I think it's pretty incredible that we're able to make it work with that.
What's the size of your incoming classes?
We target about 130 for our incoming class, and we're usually a little bit over, a little bit under. And so this year, we might come in a little bit over. And it's always exciting for us, since that we're making offers to students. We know that the admission science and the art and science of admissions is that not everybody will accept your offer of admission. And you're trying to sort of hit that sweet spot, right, of who's going to say yes and who's going to say no. And so
it's very tricky.
It's so tricky. I mean, I brag about my admissions team so much. They are amazing, because it really is such a tricky area, as is career development, as is all of our student services, really, right? They are just so amazing, the work that they provide and the support that they provide to our students. So it's always nice to sort of know that your institution is well perceived, that you're coming in above what your goal is, but you obviously don't want to go in too high.
Yes, then you have to explain to your faculty.
Exactly. You want to be loved. Yeah, that's right. You want to be loved, or maybe not too loved, right?
That's right. So you mentioned earlier, and I couldn't agree more, that the fit is what's important being a dean. That I often say that God wanted me to be exactly where I am at exactly this moment in time. It was exactly the right fit for me. And I wonder what made UNLV's Boyd School of Law the right fit for you?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think a number of things. I think one was absolutely the size, and the size of the law school made it manageable. I was coming from Suffolk Law, which was times 3 the size. And so I said, well, if I could be Associate Dean of Academic Affairs for 1,200 student body, I could be the Dean of 440 or 450 students. that we end up with. But also the collegiality of the faculty. Folks think that the dean is the boss, right, of the faculty, but
That's hilarious.
that's exactly. It's so hilarious because we're not. You and I know we are not the boss, right? And so the collegiality and the openness to outsiders is really important. And so we have that on our faculty, but also Las Vegas as a city and Nevada as a city, because it's so still sort of up and coming, has that openness to outsiders because most people are from elsewhere. And so it really made it that much more as a magnet. And I'd say the last thing is just the potential. I think we really, given that it was such a young school, and we really haven't maximized yet our potential for good, right? We've had to focus on sort of building blocks and foundational items, and we've had such great successes so far that it really, the potential is really there. And so that's always exciting, right? For somebody who, like myself, really sees our positions as platforms for helping and serving to sort of take students who wouldn't otherwise have that chance to become a lawyer and really transform, right? I see legal education as a transformative power for both the person, right, the individual, who then can really be that translator, that negotiator, all those good things that lawyers can be, leader, even if they don't ever practice law, but then also transforms their family and then, by extension, their community. And so just to see this school in that area, it was just really exciting as an opportunity for me. And so moved my whole family out and we've loved it. Everyone's really taken a shine to Nevada, even though in June, I would say, yes, June, July, it's hot,
Yeah.
but we have no snow, right? There's no snow to shovel. There's no ice, right? We have no ice.
Pretty hot here in June and July too, but
Right. Yeah.
I have been seeing your triple digit temperatures and not being envious of.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is not the envy time. I will pause it though. In January, February, I have sent pictures of the sunshine back to friends, and they are very envious.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So in your first 2 years, what are you most proud of?
Oh, wow. I am proud of the work that we did to celebrate the 25th, particularly given that it came right after COVID. There was this long shadow of COVID hanging over us. And so our gala that we held last December was really one of the first times that our Boyd law community and the legal community really came together to celebrate the law school. And so that was really special. And that was absolutely a proud moment. I don't want to say that this was a moment of pride, but yet it was, because it was sort of tragedy on our campus. We had a shooting December 6th, which was right after our gala, luckily for us in that sense. But I was really proud of how our community came together, and our Dean of Students did an amazing job with our staff to really take care of our students, make sure, there was a lot of confusion. Even though we weren't impacted directly, the shooting happened at the business school. It was really felt throughout the campus. We were all on lockdown. There was then the evacuation, which was probably more traumatic than anything for the bulk. And luckily, we didn't have as many students in the building as we would have because it was during finals. But I was so proud of how our community came together and, and really helped each other, gave each other rides, looked out for each other, made sure that they left stuff right in the hallway because we were on lockdown. People, you just had to leave your stuff wherever you were. So that was, again, it's unfortunate to have pride in such a tragic moment, but I feel proud of how our staff and faculty and students handled themselves in that fraught moment. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. What a hugely traumatic experience.
Absolutely.
I know I saw you soon after, I guess a month after at AALS.
Yep.
And boy, just really terrible that happened. But it's wonderful to hear how your community reacted and supported one another.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Now, looking forward, I wonder if you can share with us what your predictions are for the future of legal education in the coming decade.
Well, thank you for that question. I'm always hesitant. And we're so easy. I was a decade. Like, maybe 5 years I could do, but decade, that's tough. So thinking about that and thinking about all of the things going on with generative AI and legal technology, I am not one of those that think we're not going to have any law schools or have the need for lawyers. I think that the need for lawyers will still be there. The need for people will still be there. But I think that we will need to be calibrating how we teach our students in a different way, that we will need to. One of the reasons why I am so proud of our legal writing program is because I think good legal writing is absolutely essential and will continue to be essential in the next 10 years and beyond, even with generative AI, that we all sort of need to figure out and think about how we're going to teach our students with generative AI, but as a tool, right? Not as a replacement, but as a tool, as a way to make all of our lives perhaps a little bit more smooth, efficient, maybe perhaps help those that need a little more assistance, right? Where English might not be their first language, where, they maybe have perhaps a disability in processing. Perhaps that could help in terms of a tool. But the core of what a lawyer does, which is sort of the analyzing, advising, and then writing good legal documents, whatever that may be, right, is still going to be necessary. And I think I have this perspective because I was a transactional attorney when I was practicing. And there was always that joke, right? Oh, you're just a form shuffler, right? You're just taking an old form and using it. And that's not, it was so far from the truth, right? Yes, you would, maybe start from a form or a prior template that worked well for somebody else's transaction, but you would always think through, analyze, what do you know about your client's situation that's different, what's similar, how to frame or phrase, and also what is your client's tolerance for risk, right? Because we all know drafting can draft very broad, vague provisions, or you could be very, very specific, right? And that spectrum really depends on the client risk. And so I think Andy Perlman calls it bespoke lawyering is always going to be there and always going to be needed. So I think we as legal educators just need to think about how can we tailor and continue, because we're all on a continuous improvement track. How can we continue to work on our curriculum and skills building and training and experiences for students that then prepares them to utilize all of that as tools and not as replacements for good legal analysis and writing.
An excellent prediction. And certainly we have a lot of work to do to figure it out, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah. It's not going to be easy, for sure. For sure.
But you do come from a law school that's really working on figuring these things out, I think, ahead of a lot of us. Andy Perlman, certainly a leader in having these conversations and coming up with strategies.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Leah Chan Grinvald, for joining us today and talking about the beginning of your third year at William S. Boyd School of Law at UNLV's Law School. It's delightful to hear about your 25th anniversary and some of the plans that you have for Boyd School of Law. And good luck as you start the new academic year.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
Well, thank you for joining us. And if those of you listening would like to hear additional deans and thought leaders in legal education, please listen to the latest Aspen Leading Edge podcast episodes on your favorite channel or from the Aspen Leading Edge podcast website. Thank you.